Today, I want to share with you some of the strategies and techniques and kind of the overall foundational concepts that I've discovered over the years that have really helped me be able to go into a room or lead a group or even ask for things in a business environment in a way that feels truthful and less awkward. More ease. We'll put it in the positive with more ease. So what I'm going to do is I'll start with the slides in a second here, and we'll go through the slides, and it's a kind of an interactive presentation. And then once that's finished, I will open the line and we can have a full discussion about whatever comes up for you, any questions that you may have, or any insights that you may have gathered along our journey today. So with that, I will go ahead and share the screen. So today, we are talking about empower your voice for impact and influence. And thank you so much for making time today out of your busy schedule to come join this conversation. It's a super important conversation. In fact, when I was doing a little bit of background research, I found statistics ranging from 40% to 75% saying that public speaking and being heard is one of the top fears. In fact, it is the top fear over fear of dying in some cases, really, truly. And now the National Institutes of Health was at the lower end at 40%. And then there's all kinds of other research. I don't know how they did all the different surveys. I didn't look into that, but all the way up to 75%. So it's a big deal. So we have Noble and Fresco. These are two of my horses. They're going to help guide us through this process today, and we're going to jump in. So today, here's Noble. Noble is, as you'll see throughout this presentation, my animals are all very empowered to use their voice, and that can show up in a variety of ways. Sometimes I'm not always thrilled to hear what they have on their mind, but they do express themselves quite well. So today we'll go over what I'm finding the 5 core principles to empowering your voice and really being seen and heard in the way that you want to be seen and heard. And then after we go through those core principles, those are kind of foundational principles, then we'll apply them and look at some specific tactics. And some of these you're probably already doing. I know many of you guys in this group are masterful communicators, and you've been out there doing your great work in the world for many years. So kudos to you for doing that. And you may find a few more little insights here that can help sharpen that proverbial saw a little bit more, and perhaps give you a little bit more ease as you're moving forward into the world sharing your greatness. So one of the first things I've found is this just happened the other day. I came up with these little charts. So for those of you guys who know me well, you know I love charts. I'm always making little charts and graphs and things. It comes from my science background of 20 years in environmental science and engineering. But this one here, listen, speak, stop. Oh, listen, speak, stop. Really important. So I was just at an event a few weeks ago, and they had a little networking. Many of you have probably been to similar things. They do a little networking in the morning before the speaker does his thing or her thing or panel or whatever. And everyone's doing a little business card, passing around things. So somebody walked up to myself and a couple of folks that were with me and introduced herself and was lovely and just talked at us for, I don't know, it seemed like a long time. She didn't ask any questions. She just talked at us and then gave a business card. And then she sat down. It was time to sit down. And I thought to myself, wow, isn't that interesting? Now, I'm sure she's lovely and everything, but I don't think she even had a clue that perhaps she didn't need to just keep talking. And sometimes that's nerves, right? So when we have the presence of mind to be able to listen to the environment, listen to other people, listen to ourselves, and then share what's on our mind, and then stop. A lot of people are afraid of that silence. There's so much power in the pause. So with that, I'm going to move on. So this is another new chart. I've been thinking a lot about power. And I also love to distill things down to their simplest components as I see them. So lots of people have different ideas about how this might be expressed. But what I'm looking at is, how do you transcend this insecurity, this ego fear that is really designed to keep us safe? So it's an instinctive kind of stressor, and we all have it. And in an instance where you want to be heard, or you're trying to make a point in a meeting, and you all of a sudden get that fear spike, it might stop you in that moment. And what we're looking to do is to be able to transcend that fear, kind of make peace with that fear, so that you can speak your truth and you can get your insights out into the world. So what I've found is, if you can get to a place of, what is my purpose here, or what is the purpose here? We're going to talk about this in a little bit, but in general terms, I see this as a kind of an empowerment line. So you have purpose. The purpose starts giving you more clarity. With the clarity comes the confidence. And with all of that, you become more powerful. It gives you power. Now, I've also found that you can invert the purpose and clarity. So sometimes you get clarity and then you find your purpose. It's like, oh yeah. And then that gives you confidence and power. So this is loosely designed, but it's a kind of an outline to help you understand how important it is when we can tie our power back to the purpose and the clarity and the confidence. Because if something in there is missing, then you can go back and say, oh, well, maybe I'm just not clear on this. Maybe I need to go seek more clarity. And then if you can infuse this little graph with passion, oh my gosh, you can become super powerful. So we all know stories of folks who have achieved great feats through adrenaline because they're passionate. They're trying to save their kid or something, and they just transcend any kind of fear and jump in and save the person and save the business or whatever it might be. So there's really a lot of power in the passion as well. So what are these core principles? So as I see them, this is like a foundation that you're building from. Like when you're building a house, you want a really strong foundation. When you're teaching kids, you want to make sure they have a really strong educational foundation. When you're working with a horse, this is Noble and I in a session with a group of executives, you want to make sure that you have a really good foundation of trust. So these 5 core principles are: know the purpose. We're going to talk about all 5 of these. Know yourself. We'll talk about that. Know your audience. Of course, you got to know your audience. Choose your energy. I talk about energy a lot, and I talked about that in the TEDx. We're going to talk about all 5 of these in detail in a minute. And then you got to do something. You got to move the needle. So it might mean stepping out of your comfort zone and trying something new, or taking that step, taking the baby step, taking the big step, whatever step it is. And now here, Noble and I are in a session with a group. It was an executive team. And so the purpose was to help the team unite around a common vision and achieve one of their big strategic goals. All right. And Noble was going to help them with this. So Noble and I were having a conversation. So you can see there's a real connection there, right? I'm looking him right in the eye. He's looking me right in the eye. He's like, what's going on? Well, I know this guy. I know myself. I know him. And I know the audience. The audience are not horse people. So in this case, I needed to be able to extend trust to him that he was going to be a good boy and work off lead with these people in a big round pen, completely free to do whatever he wanted. So I was telling him right there, all right, dude, you got this, no tasting the clients. Can we agree on this? And no going crazy here. You got to keep the energy cool and neutral. Good. All right. And we were about to just go. You see, I was about to take the action and release him to the people. So that's what that looked like in that situation. So let's go talk about this purpose here. So the purpose is your why. Why is this important? Why is whatever it is that you have to say important? Or why is it important to you? Why is it important to the project? Why might it be important to the organization? Why might it be important to the universe? We have to be able to transcend our ego fear. And what happens is ego fear keeps us small, and it wants us to stay right in here going, no, I can't do this. No, it's not the right time. It makes all kinds of excuses and to keep us safe from breaking it out. But if we can get to the broader why, like what's the purpose here? What is this organization trying to do? What's my role in this situation, in this scenario? And can I connect to this purpose in a way that is going to allow me to shed the ego fear and actually take some action? So one of the questions is, who or what may benefit from hearing your voice? And just who else and what else and who else and what else, and be bold. Just have this conversation with yourself. It's not a braggadocious kind of thing. We're not looking for fame and fortune here. We're just trying to share our truth and advance a cause, right? Do the good work. And here's the thing, is your impact extends beyond you in unexpected ways. You have no idea the kind of impact that you have. In fact, I'm going to use an example because she's here. Miss Liz. She is a radiant goddess. She's right here with us today. And you have no idea, Lizzie, I was out with a friend the other day, and she said, I saw that picture of you and Liz, and what's up with her? She just is radiant. She's just lights up a room. Has no idea that we're talking about her. She's not anywhere around there. But Liz, we were talking about you. But this is the thing, is your impact extends beyond you in an unexpected way. And who would you wouldn't think that we'd be talking about you at a lunch, but we were. So all favorable, my friend. And this is the thing. Think about movies, think about books, think about something you might have seen on YouTube, and you don't know the authors of these, you don't know these people personally, but they've impacted you, right? And they don't know necessarily that they've impacted you. So this is really important. Your impact extends beyond you in unexpected ways. So important. Okay. Big thing here is to know yourself. This is Ranger. She was a feral cat who adopted us. She and her little friend Puff adopted us. And she has now taken over the farm. She has no problem speaking out and being heard. So she's like my little goddess kitty, and I learn a lot from her. So here she is sitting in the chair, and she is totally authentic. She knows how to say what she wants. She knows how to ask for what she wants. She knows what her strengths are. She's a little badass. She is vibrant and loves to climb and loves to follow me around the farm and loves to bring me really disgusting dead things that she finds as great prizes. And they're usually when clients are coming. That's lovely. This is like bloody mess right in the middle of the aisleway. But she knows her strengths. And so I'm thinking about the most important thing for all of us is really to play to our strengths. We always talk about strengths and weaknesses and making sure that your weaknesses are better. Yeah, a lot of us are good at pointing out the things that we think we're bad at, but the things that we're really great at are what also need to be amplified. They really need to be raised up and expressed. So I'm curious, if you have a moment, if you can just type what you think might be one of your strengths in the chat. Love to see that. And you can also ask questions in the chat, and we'll come back around and go through the chat in a minute. The other thing about your strengths is they give you superpowers, and it's really, really great when you can know your process. So what do I mean by that? Know your process. Well, this is a reflection activity to think back on where have you been successful in the past and what has made you successful? Because I promise you, there is a combination of purpose and passion and clarity of intent and all these things we've already been talking about in that success for you. And when you can start to dissect your own success and look at the patterns, you can begin to repeat that pattern. So some of my clients are just masterful at relationship building. And I'll call out one here. RT is amazing. One of the best relationship builders I've ever met, ever. And everyone loves her because she's fantastic. Why wouldn't you? Guys are all going to love her by the end of the call. And just these great, great people who are sincere and authentic and listen and care deeply. And you can take these kinds of things and build it with your purpose, and then advance your goal and give yourself, amplify your voice to be heard in different ways. So wherever you're really good. Another part of the process is knowing where you like to play. So some people like to be out in the front and take charge. Other people like to kind of hang back and watch for a little while and observe and see what's going on, get a lay of the land, and then act. All of it's good. So just look at your own process without judgment and see what's been most effective for you, because there's power in understanding what your process is and being able to replicate it in different situations. Instead of beating yourself up saying, oh, I should be like that one, I should be like this. This goes back to the be authentic. Be you. You don't have to be anybody different. I mean, to be heard and seen, you're perfect as is. We just want to make sure that you feel comfortable getting yourself out there so that the message that you're sharing can be heard by the world or whoever. It could be your spouse. It could be someone else in your family. It could be a colleague. It could be anyone. It doesn't need to be on this huge grand scale. We're just talking about feeling into that space of your authentic power and being able to be heard fully in that space. So, and ask for what you want, just like Ranger, ask for what you want. Okay. The third one is to know your audience. Know your audience. What do they want? What do they want? And if you don't know, ask, find out. Because sometimes what we're assuming that another might want is not what they want. And being heard, whether it's you're giving a talk, or you're in a meeting, or you're doing something in writing, you're putting together an email, really understanding the wants and needs of the other is really, really important. What are their pain points? What are their challenges? So here's an example of something that also happened recently in the spirit of knowing your audience. I was on a webinar, a big webinar with a whole bunch of people, and the promise of the webinar was to be able to engage and ask a whole bunch of questions around this specific topic. So I made time, as you guys are here, to be there live. And I could listen to the recording, but I had some specific questions on my mind. Well, when I got on the call, when we all got on the call, it was people from all over the world, she had a different agenda, the facilitator. And so she took us down what she thought we needed. And I didn't want that. Yeah, I could need it, but I didn't need it that much because I already knew a bunch of that stuff. And we could have gotten that in a different way in the Facebook group or some other thing, but I didn't really want it right then. And I was kind of having a little issue with it. And I'm thinking, I was frustrated because I spent time out of my day and I was trying to be thinking, oh, well, there's always something to learn, Shari, wherever you are, there's something to learn. So listen, stop the judges and just listen. So I was listening. It was off base. So, think about your audience and know what they want and really, really listen to them. So that show that you get them, like you get them and you really care. Super important. Sometimes people just want to be validated. The other party, it could be a difficult person that just really needs to be validated and needs to be heard themselves before they can hear you. And that's a fear thing. So if we can be that safe place for that person and give them what they need first, and then they can give you what you need. Reciprocity. Now, this is a real big one here with this Albert Einstein here. Choosing your energy. What's the right energy for a situation? How do we know? How do we know? We have to be super present. And we can empower ourselves to be in whatever energy we want, regardless of circumstance, right? And in fact, our energy influences everyone around us. And as Dr. Einstein says here, the field is the sole governing agency of the particle. So if the particle are all these little pieces, these humans, say me, you, others, or folks in a room, and then there's this energy field, the energy field that's generated is actually going to influence the behavior of the humans. And each one of us has the power to positively influence that energy field through intention. And we can help create conditions that can create certain types of outcomes. So even right now, I would say let's practice for a moment getting really, really present. That's the most important thing is to listen and get very, very present. So for a moment, let's just be together in this room. So just put your feet on the floor and take a nice deep breath, and put your pens down, or if you're taking any notes or anything like that. And just take a nice deep breath. We're all going to get present together right here, right now, with our group in the Zoom and the extended group who will be listening to the recording. So bring all the little pieces of you that may be in different places energetically, and bring them all back here, right now. Take a nice deep breath. Sink down into your butt. Notice if you're clenching. No clenching, just relax. Nobody's looking. I can't see. Just take a nice deep breath. Let it extend all the way down to your feet. All the way down. Perfect. Good. Good. And now become aware of your heart space. Just feel into that. And I know all of you on this call are givers. You give so much to the world. You give so much energy to your work, to your people in your life, to your animal friends. So many. So feel into your heart space and feel all that giving energy going out. Feel that energy, the giving energy, just sending energy out to your family, your friends. Okay, now pause. Take a nice deep breath. All the way down your diaphragm, and see if you can receive some of that beautiful heart energy into your heart. You can open, soften the edges of your heart. It's okay if you don't feel anything. It's okay if you feel something. No judgment. Just notice, because there's energy that's knocking on the door of your heart that wants to come in and say, ah, that was awesome. You're amazing. You did great. I love you. You're beautiful. All this beautiful energy that wants to come in. Can you receive it? Good. And when you're ready, just take another deep breath. Exhale, open your eyes and bring yourself back here. So just notice the giving energy and the receiving energy, and the difference in the feel, if you felt any difference in the feel. And just notice that. So in order for us to be able to be fully present, we need to make sure that our energy is nice and soft like that, and it can receive. It can receive into the heart. It can receive into all of our senses. We're using our entire being as a sensor to pick up all kinds of energy, even now, right here in the Zoom. Okay, and then you can pick the right energy. So the right energy may be a neutral energy to go into a meeting. You might want to just, in advance of the meeting, take a nice deep breath and ground yourself. Ground the meeting, and then go into the meeting. It might require a little more assertiveness type of energy. So you might want to get a little more power in there, a little more passion in there, and conviction. Whatever it may be, it's a great thing to consider. And we'll talk more about this in the discussion as well. And then finally is to move the needle. If we don't do anything with all this knowledge, nothing really happens. We can't just sit there and glow, basking in the glow of our beautiful energy, even though it feels great. It does feel great. I highly recommend it. But you do have to take some action. So think about, even now, if you have a goal, or if you want to call someone, or you want your voice to be heard in a new way, or a different way, or a stronger way, what's the simplest step that you might be able to take? One of the things that made the biggest impact on me years ago was giving myself permission as an entrepreneur to just detach from outcome, meaning I don't need to make a sale. I don't need them to buy from me. I don't need them to think I'm the greatest thing ever. I don't need any of that. But I do need to share what I know. I do need to share what I know in the right places, that are appropriate. Because if you don't, you're really doing a disservice to the world, because there's only one you. There's only one you. There's only one you with your experience, your background, your skills, your strengths, your talents, your desire. Only one. And there's only one you who can articulate things in the way that only you can. It's different from everyone else. So know that. Nobody has to agree with you. Nobody has to buy from you. Nobody has to, there's just detach from the outcome. Reconnect to the purpose and share from that place. Share from that place of generosity without having to attach something to it. All right. So those are the 5 main principles. So know the purpose, know yourself, know your audience, choose your energy, and move the needle. And what I want to talk about here is some key tactics. It's kind of like the application of this. Here's my horse Fresco. He is one of the, he has tremendous leadership presence. And when we talk about leadership presence, it's like words don't even do leadership presence justice. It's a thing. It's a vibe. Somebody walks in and they're just, they're comfortable in their skin. They don't have to even be super outgoing or anything. But Fresco has it. This is Fresco. He'll be 25 this year. He's still kicking, doing good. But let's practice this right here. All right. So right now, right here in our little Zoom room, I'm going to do it too. Sit or stand tall. So what this does is it opens your energy, like take up more space. One of the things I see in Zoom meetings sometimes is people get small and they kind of get, sometimes you see like to the top of their face or they're kind of way back here, and they're like, man, okay. If you're going to be in a meeting, you might as well be in a meeting, right? We can go get small after the meeting. Just be fully present. So open your energy, breathe from your belly, just like we were doing that breathing exercise. Okay. Feel the difference? A little different, right? Open the shoulders. Oh, I do a lot of I did this with a group the other day, teaching them the horse breathing, because you just releases stress in your entire body. And it also releases a lot of facial stress. You can imagine how much stress we carry in our face. So maybe just right now, everybody just try it. Feel good? Do it again. It's fun. The more you can get your lips into it, the better. It's really great. Great stress reliever. And now the next thing you can do, this is for speaking, is to lower your tone. So you hear a lot of folks, they have high pitch and they're fast, right? Because they're nervous. I'm already like pinged open just listening to these people. So I'm like, oh man, take a breath. So lower your tone. Breathe into your belly. And this is a little phrase that you can use. Ding, dong, king, kong. Helps lower your pitch and your tone. So I'm gonna, let's see here. Let's just try it all together, okay? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Ding, dong, king, kong. Take the breath. So the Kong didn't quite land for me. I was kind of reaching for it. So I'm probably on the dong. Dong is probably a spot for me. I could work downward to the Kong, but it's a nice way before you're going into a meeting to kind of get that tone down. The other thing too, how many of you guys have been in a meeting or in a presentation, you're watching somebody and they say, oh gosh, I'm running short on time. So I'm just gonna go really quickly. We're gonna move really quickly through the rest of these slides. Now, who is this helping? This is helping me. Now I have to chase. I have to like follow and catch up. No, don't do that. Don't do that. If somehow you're running out of time, just cut the conversation shorter and do a follow-up conversation, or cut out your slides right there on the spot. You got to be present to be able to do that, right? And just flip through and figure out what the important points are. You can always come back to things, but don't speed up if you're running low on time. It's just bad. It's just not good form. The other thing is the eye contact. You guys all know about that. It's weird with Zoom. It's weird in video. We do the best we can. It's not really super authentic to look right. I'm looking right at you, but I'm looking right at the camera. That's not you. So do what you can with that. The eye contact might be all over the place in the virtual environment. And then the inflection, really, really important. If you land on a high note, there's doubt. Like, what? Huh? What do you mean? If you land on a high note, you land on a high note. So finish the sentence with a period or a question mark, and no, which is different, right? So, right? You hear that? The question mark. No, which is different, period, right? Question mark. A lot of people, when they're speaking, they lose confidence. They start going up, and they end on a up question mark, and it's a question mark, and sounds sometimes like you're seeking validation from the other party. Not a good thing. If you are seeking validation, fine. But if you're not, and you just have this tendency to kind of go up, some people do it as they're thinking through things and brainstorming. So just watch yourself for that. And then of course, get rid of all that. That's just trash words. We don't need that. And then when you're speaking, it's great to have examples, stories, case studies, data, whatever it is. Just get behind some of these things because they really help you validate a point. In fact, speaking of a story, I was thinking, one of my very, very first public kind of venues when I was first started working, I think I was 22. Oh yeah, I was 22. And I was invited to go to this big meeting in Dallas with our chief scientist. And my job back then, was to carry his slide carousel. All right, so who's with me on that? Just kind of dating myself. Slide carousel, remember those things? And they're on a tripod, and they kind of have to advance with a manual advancer. This is way before. So what would happen inevitably is the thing would lock. You'd be up there with the clicker or whatever. You're trying to advance your carousel, and it would lock up. So he said, "Oh, I need help. I need a little gopher to fix that for me." So I sat in the back. 350 people in this room. He's giving like this huge talk on some kind of chemical analysis, and I'm in the back monitoring his carousel, and it has a stand, a projector stand. And I was getting really bored because he was really boring. So then I had an itch. I felt that I had a little itch on my leg. So I go down to scratch this little itch on my leg. And apparently my nylons, we used to call them pantyhose back there in the day, got caught on a little screw on the stand of the carousel. Can you believe this? I mean, what the heck? So I'm down there now, I'm fussing with the thing, and he's yapping away up there. He's talking away. And then all of a sudden I hear my name being called through the microphone, Shari, Shari, Shari. And I look up, and to my horror, the whole image is going back and forth because I'm down there trying to get myself detangled from the tripod. Oh my gosh, it was horrifying. So I got to run in my hose, and I recovered, but I had to think about that. And I was like, this is just not good public speaking. I'm like the support person here, and I'm getting all the attention. And back then I really strove for anonymity. It was horrifying. Anyway, I share that with you because it's just one of those things where you just never know where you're going to be seen. And that was a terrifying experience for me. And poor guy, luckily he didn't ream me out too bad. But anyway, for speaking, there are many different ways to gain more courage and be braver, and also to get to be heard in a safer way with more ease. So sometimes it's fun to facilitate a panel, or to be on the panel, or maybe to be the speaker. So depending on your comfort and what you want to say, that's a great way. Certainly recording a video or doing live virtual videos. I know many of you have done these already, and they're wonderful to do. You can interview someone else, and this is great. So go back to your process. So remember about your process. What sets you up for success? What gives you most fun and most joy? Where's your passion? And think about, well, do I want to interview someone, or do I want to be interviewed? Maybe both. Who knows? Depends on where you are. You can ask a question. So if you go to a big conference and it's on a certain topic, you can listen. And if you know in advance what your question might be, that's a good way to prepare. Or you can have a question that arises on the spot. That's a great way to be heard, be seen, and get practice too. It can be scary, even on these virtual things, to be in a big room and then ask a question. It can be, notice the fear spike, and that's totally normal. But the more that we do it, the better we get. Another way is to validate somebody else. So someone else is speaking and then you're in a meeting or a boardroom or wherever it may be. You can tell that other person, again, as long as you really believe this, we want to be sincere. Oh, what a great point. I love how you said such and such, and I'm wondering about blah, blah, blah. And you add an insight or a question or something to that. So you're building and you're advancing the conversation. It's always a great way to do some of the speaking. So here's another one for, I'm writing. So writing, and all of this, this could be a whole course for a year. I just want to give you guys a few little highlights and we can talk about them, and then whatever resonates, we could go deeper. But in writing, we always want to look at, well, what are we talking about here? Define it. What is it? You'd be surprised, or maybe not, at how many folks are not defining what they're talking about, what they even mean. And then why is that important? Like, why should I care? Why should I read this thing? And oftentimes there's a how in there. That's important as well. Sometimes there's not a how, or it could have next steps. What do you want from this to have happen? What's the request? So keep the email short and targeted. I've seen a lot of folks suffer from writing too long and they don't get to the point. So what happens is people will read the first couple of sentences. I'm guilty of this too. First couple of sentences, and then they'll put it in the queue for later or something. Meanwhile, there's something really important at the bottom and you missed it. So, reorient that so that you're heard in the written word. One of the things for anybody who's a consultant, bios, resumes, or if you have a website and you have an about you page or something, it's not bragging, right? None of this is bragging. It's about letting people know how you might be able to help them if you're the right fit. It's really what it is. And so make sure you have those magnitude numbers in there. The budget that you've managed or worked under, the number of staff you may have led, even matrix staff, or you can say matrix, but if it makes the number a lot bigger, then go for it. And in fact, sometimes managing matrix staff is even harder because you're not a direct supervisor. If you have quick key projects or quick turnaround or some awards, so many great things there. And now here's this one here is this image. Oh my gosh, you guys, I pulled this out as an example of something really bad. So don't do this. And I have it here, I printed it out. This just came on Saturday, February 24th. And so it's like a sales kind of thing. First of all, it's from somebody I don't know. The subject is follow-up paid survey, educator, IT decision makers. Okay, there's a subject. What? Is that me? And then it says, this is the text, educator, IT decision makers. Hi, Shari. We're currently conducting a market research study with professionals in your industry. Oh, really? We've identified you as being a great fit and would love to invite you to participate for $50 US. What, you're going to make me pay to participate in your survey? This is a paid 5-minute online survey for $50 via prepaid credit card, gift card. Oh, just following up on their, okay. All right, sorry. Wrong, right? On all of these different things that we've already been talking about. What's the purpose here? I don't know. Do they know me? Clearly not. Know the audience? No. Do they care about me? What's the energy of this? There's some urgency here. I got to pay something. Now you're making me mad. This is probably not the effect that you want, right? So that's how not to do it. So in contrast, I have another one here that I printed out. It's not on the page, but this is great. This is from a guy I don't know, pitching a program I know nothing about. But here's what he said. Hi, Shari. First of all, let me say, subject line was seahorses and Shari. All right, so he's got my name in the subject line. Pretty smart. And he has seahorses. I'm like, horses. Oh, there you go. Oh man, what do you want? He says, hi, Shari. From your website and LinkedIn, it's pretty clear that you are an amazing coach in every sense of the word. Very cool, Shari. Now, who knows if he actually looked at my website and LinkedIn, but he mentioned that. So I was like, well, I'm giving him a chance. But here's what he did. Your kind word on Ellen's post about our upcoming Lessons from the Deep experience caught my attention. I wanted to reach out to ask, what if you joined us? So what he did is he saw my comment on LinkedIn on someone else's post and thought, ooh, maybe that woman would be great for our program. So brilliant, right? So I had to read it. Shari, as you may know, this spring will be our first cohort of Lessons of the Deep. Maybe one of you guys want this. Lessons from the Deep experience, which will take 8 to 12 participants on a deep dive of personal transformation, both figuratively and literally, culminating with an in-person dive experience in Aruba in May. And you get credits. So what did he do? He gave us the why, he gave us the purpose, he connected with us, he knows me, he's, well, doesn't really know me, but he had seahorses in there, so I'll give him props. You know, I mean, this is how you do it. And I actually wrote him back, I can't do that, and I don't want to do it, and diving, that's stressing me out. So it's not a good fit, but I did write him back, and I thanked him for this, and he wrote me right back, and he said, thanks so much, and he was wonderful. This is how people communicate. We just need to bring the humanity back, right? Okay, so more key tactics. Be more visible. So I commented on this woman, Ellen's social media post, which was on LinkedIn, and he found me, right? He found me that way. Awesome. You could also share someone else's post. So if they've done something cool, you could share their post, and that is you being heard and also amplifying their work. You can write a post. You can give recognition to somebody else. I mean, who doesn't love a testimonial? Some random thoughts. You can write an article or a blog, write a newsletter, write a book. There's Noble reviewing the section on do not taste the clients. All kinds of different ways to be heard. So here's Ranger showing us the way. Ranger jumping across this little creek. She was following me. It just happened to have my camera. I'm so grateful I did, because she jumped across that thing like a little mighty cat, and is so inspiring. So I'm curious about what baby step will you commit to today? You can share it in the chat, and we can use public declaration as a powerful motivator and accountability, and we can check those chats. And I will also open the line for questions and conversation. So let me go ahead and stop that share. Here's your last moment to take a pretty look at Ranger. Look at that stretch and that reach and that body. She's all lined up. All right. Excellent. Well, wonderful. Thank you guys so much for paying attention and going with me on this little journey of empowering your voice. So what I want to do now is go ahead and open the line, and you guys can unmute yourself and ask a question, or if you have a thought or a comment or on anything that I talked about so far. What's coming up for you guys? Lizzie, go ahead.
Well, first of all, Shari, thank you for your very kind words earlier. I appreciate that. And Shari deserves all the credit for my LinkedIn videos. She really inspired me to find my voice and share my voice on branding and marketing and so forth. And I've been posting a video a week since April 25th of last year. And it's been a fantastic outreach tool for me and a great way for me to give back with my knowledge and expertise from 44 years in the field. So thank you, Shari.
Oh my gosh, that's so sweet. Thank you so much, Liz. You're amazing. Yeah, you got to check out her videos. She has all kinds of cool stuff out there, and really, really, really powerful. So if anybody's been hesitant to do the videos, go look at Liz. She's modeling the way. She's got her marketing minutes, 1 minute. She puts out all kinds of great insights in there, and she's just fun. Thank you, Liz. It's very generous, kind.
It's very true, Shari. You deserve the credit, so I appreciate it.
You're welcome. All I did was suggest it or insist on it.
Very effective, my friend. Very effective.
Thanks. Deanna, do you have a comment or other thoughts?
I guess the one that sticks out to me is I can get going really fast. So that's slowing down. when I'm trying to get my point across. And some of it's excitement, but I think it's just being more intentional, going in and just slowing down.
Yeah, you just did it.
That's something that I need to do better at when I'm ramped up about something. And it could
Great
be like,
noticing. Yeah, and you saw me do it too. I get fired up and I start going, and some of you guys have seen me, been with me in your own coaching session, and that's like, oh, slow down.
happens.
So
happens.
it is, and it's really, I think, it's about the intention, and it's about being okay with that. First, remembering the pause, and then listening to the silence. It's a practice of listening to the silence. We don't do that in this society very well. So we can be a little better at that. Thank you, Deanna. Great, great thought. Other comments, thoughts, questions? How many of you guys like Ranger? Amazing. Yeah.
Hey, Shari, it's Lynn. I have
Hey,
a
Lynn.
thought. Shoot, it just went right out of my head. So somebody very wise told me, no one knows what's in your head until you tell them. And so I've been working on trying to get what's in my head out. But one of the challenges I have is that I currently work full time for an entity, and so I'm worried about putting too much of what's inside me out on LinkedIn or places like that. I don't know if I need to have a second LinkedIn profile because I'd like to start to build a business. And I'm reluctant to do too much out there tied to my current employer. I don't know if that makes sense, but
Oh, yeah.
that's.
It does make sense, and it's such a great point. And I think it's tricky. I would say don't make a second LinkedIn profile because it's confusing for people.
Well,
Right?
that's what I thought. I'm like, who are my followers going to be?
No, right. So just keep it super simple. And what I would suggest, and I'm open to hearing other thoughts on this too, I'm sure you guys have some thinking on this, is to keep it aligned. You're not going to go too far off course of what you're already doing, and being true to who you are, and being true to just being cognizant that it shouldn't be a huge radical departure from the organization where you're working. Because you still are representing them as long as you are affiliated with them. So we do need to be mindful of that. And you can also be more vocal. So if you are sharing thoughts on well-being, on mindfulness, on insights and things that you feel that folks within the organization can benefit from, then man, I would want to hear that. What do you guys think? What's the rest of the folks? What do you guys think?
Well, I recently attended a LinkedIn seminar that was really very insightful, and I agree with Shari. I would not create a second LinkedIn profile. There's nothing wrong today with leveraging your personal brand within the confines of the place where you work. As a matter of fact, it can be an asset to your company and viewed that way. So I think if you look at your own personal value propositions or unique brand assets as a professional, and then you look at those underneath the umbrella brand of the entity for which you work, you'll be able to really bring that to life. And over time, it will leverage your personal brand within the confines of the company and position you to start a business in the future if that's what you decide to do.
Thanks, Liz. That's helpful.
Sure.
Yeah, it's great advice. And thank you guys. Also, I'm looking over your strengths, good at asking powerful questions. Awesome. Build strong relationships, value-driven collaboration. Absolutely. Building relationships, a connector. Sure. Yep. I see all that. Thank you for sharing those. Yeah. Other thoughts or anything that's come up? Listen, speak, stop. Janine.
I think that's kind of one of my takeaways is the I'm not uncomfortable with silence. I just don't create it very often. So intentionally creating some space for someone else to step into it. I think that's important.
Beautiful. So well stated. Yeah. Yeah, there's so many folks that feel like the need to fill that void, and we get afraid of the silence. We're like afraid that someone might disagree or might say something that's going to then expose us in some way. And some people are very afraid of a Q&A, and that's interesting. I've noticed even some very good presenters get very scared with the discussion part. I love the discussion part. This is actually my favorite part of the whole thing. So I want to hear from you. I want to hear from you, Artie. You have the
Oh,
floor.
yeah. So, thanks, Shari, and thanks for the compliment earlier. And just wanted to echo what what Liz shared too, and agree with you on Liz, because we were on a webinar, I think, together some time ago that you did. So good to see you, Liz. But to Lynn, yeah, I wouldn't have two LinkedIn profiles. That just leads to potential confusion. And I think it's, what Liz said, just putting yourself out there. You don't necessarily have to put everything out there, right? But keep some stuff, and then people get to know you and different aspects of you in a different way. And Shari, as you were, and you probably know this, as you were sharing the piece about pausing in the presentation. So, as you know, I recently gave presentation and I was running out of time because I did a lot of pausing during and let people ask a lot of questions. And then I was rushing at the end to like kind of finish what I wanted to share. But in hindsight, it would have been best to actually, just pause and just say, okay, I'm not able to finish everything, but here's what I was going to cover. And then maybe there's an opportunity to circle back with some of the individuals or whatever, instead of just rushing through it, because it didn't benefit anybody, right? I mean, they just got like a snapshot of what I was going to talk about. And I think it left probably more questions than answers. And I didn't particularly feel good about it at the end because I felt like I didn't get to share everything. So that's, and I think that's a good lesson learned, because I've given many talks, but sometimes we fall into, I don't know if it's even necessarily an old habit, but what we think we should be doing versus what we know we should be doing. So I don't know if that makes sense. But yeah, you just kind of reinforced that for me today. So I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, you're a brilliant speaker, and here's the thing, we get told all this stuff about here's how you do it. Fill in the blank, whatever it is, anything. Here's how you do it, and you can Google anything, and it'll tell you exactly how to do it. I'm like, well, I don't do it that way. What if I did it some other way? Am I gonna like, I'm bad now, or I messed up, or I shouldn't do it? And there's all this judgment around it. And I'll tell you, I was just at a talk the other day, and there's all these presentation techniques. Oh, you should only have 3 bullets on the page, and you need images, and you need graphics, and you need this, and you need yeah. Okay, great. But what you really need is a great content, right? And a person who's capable of delivering the content. And they do it in whatever style is best for them. So I was just at a thing the other day on homeopathy, and it was awesome. It was 2 hours, totally detailed slides. I mean, like, charts but with all the little descriptions and little font and all that kind of stuff. And the veterinarian who was giving it was awesome, and interwove all kinds of stories and things throughout, and is pretty much an introvert, and didn't have a huge amount of voice inflection like a professional speaker. And it was awesome. I have so many notes from this thing. I got to go buy a whole new thing of homeopathy stuff. I mean, she was awesome. So honestly, this is what I'm talking about, is know yourself, and give yourself permission to be you, and being able to blend it with that purpose, with that why. You can show up with great insight, great information, or new questions, or a new way of looking at things, or a question about an old way of looking at things, even if you don't have the new way of looking at things formed yet. It doesn't matter. Whenever we're adding our own insight into this collective, there's some it's catalyzing a new way of thinking. You may never know that, but something is opening. If it stays with us, it stays with us. And all it does is percolate around, and it goes all around, and it can just, it's crazy making sometimes. Any other thoughts before we close out? I want to be mindful of the time. We had two minutes, so we're not rushing or anything. Very relaxed 2 minutes.
I think as long as you focus on bringing your value to your audience in whatever way is most effective for you, it's well received. You know, if you're really passionate about sharing your knowledge and insight and expertise and your value with your audience, regardless of whether you follow the rules for it or not, it's effective. You know, you're helping people get to a different point through your knowledge and expertise and insight.
So well said, Liz. Great point. All right, you guys. Well, I wish you all a wonderful adventure of being heard and seen, with hopefully some fresh insights or a few little tweaks to what you already know. And feel free to call me, with any questions, or email me. I think everybody has my contact information. If you have anything that comes up afterwards and you're like, oh, what did she mean by that? Or I don't know, or something, just feel free to reach out. I'd be delighted to hear from you. All right. So thank you guys so much, and many blessings, and have a wonderful afternoon. And special thanks to my sister for managing all the co-host stuff. So great to have you on a webinar. All right. Bye for now, you guys.